Well, I'm excited. We're going to talk about numbers today. The idea that can numbers reveal your true path. We're going to talk about the symbology of numbers. And I'm here with Dr. Craig Wright, and he has a beautiful story about numbers changing the trajectory of his path to be more in alignment with who he truly is, to lead him towards being his own wolf. And we're going to dig deep into what some of those numbers mean, share stories. We're going to do all the things. So keep listening and we will get to it. Now, before we dive in, Dr. Craig, can you tell me what it is that you do?
Yes, first of all, I want to thank you, Jania, for having me on the show. I am a member of the International Metaphysical Ministry, founded by Dr. Paul Leon Masters. I hold a PhD in counseling, and I've been a professional numerologist for over 30 years.
All right. You have a lot of credentials under your belt. Now, what, without going too deep into your story, why numbers? Tell me
Well,
why the numerology, why the numbers?
well, I use numerology to empower people, um, to make them stronger and more confident, to enlighten,
Mm,
give people greater knowledge and understanding of themselves and others, and to enrich. Uh, and by that I mean having a more productive and meaningful life.
okay. And so, what did the numbers mean? Like, we have a birthday. I know, most people who've been into maybe astrology or just wanting to connect to what is the bigger thing. They've probably explored numerology a little bit. And so what do the numbers tell us?
Well, numerology is really all about self-concept. Um, I believe that self-concept is at the very foundation of our being. Uh, who we are or who we think we are can affect our lives. And this information usually comes from parents, teachers, employers, people around us, whether they have good intentions or bad, telling us who we are. But with numerology, which dates back to 3100 BC, and it was taught in the mystery schools.
Mhm.
Numerology is a science that believes that we were created by the word, and words are vibrations. Right now, uh, I'm just vibrating the air, and we've been trained to give meaning to those vibrations. Ah, that's the A sound. So they give us a symbol for it, letters, and numbers are symbols for the word, the vibrations that we hear. So, since we are created by the word, and words are symbolized with letters and numbers, the letters in our name and the numbers in our birthday are symbols, if you will, for the word of the Creator, symbols of the energy that we are manifesting. If you could take a really good close look at us, we would see neutrons, atoms.
Right.
We're not really solid. We're vibrating. Would probably scare us to death to see our true selves. But all of this energy can be described in terms of numbers, like your favorite radio station could be, I don't know, 101 on the dial. There's a number
Mm,
describing that frequency. And the letters in our name and the numbers in our birthday do that for us. We literally come with an owner's manual. If I may expound a bit,
yeah.
the letters in the letters in our name reveal our calling. Okay.
Okay.
If I teach a class called the Jeremiah effect. Jeremiah was a prophet, and the Creator told him, "Wait a minute, buddy. You can't go back on a deal that we had before I formed you in the womb." So, life, our life experience begins before we take our first breath outside the womb, because we are truly spiritual beings having a physical expression. So the
Mhm.
numbers in our birthday reveals God's part of the contract, or Allah or Buddha, whatever you call the creator, the force. Um, the original cause, if you will, that's birthday, that reveals their part of the contract, and the letters in our name reveal our part of the contract, what we promise to do with the wonderful gifts each of us has received.
So you said something in the beginning of this that was really important. This idea of who we think we believe ourselves to be, based on
Yes.
what our parents say, what people around us say, the stories we make up because of experiences we're having. And one of the things about being the wolf is stripping away that concept that might not be your true self and stepping into what perhaps the numbers reveal. So now we're saying that the name is my part of the contract. I just want to
Yes.
make sure. And then the numbers, the birthday is the universe, God, whomever, the creator is part of the contract.
That is correct. Another way you can look at it is the birthday represents the toolbox, and
Mm,
our name is the blueprint. And we
okay.
come here with a toolbox and a blueprint, and there's work to be done. But
Okay.
when we take this transformation from the spiritual to the physical, we get spiritual amnesia. And that's when all these other forces come into being. And the challenge is to become the wolf, to realize that we're not ugly ducklings, we're swans, if you will,
Hmm.
to reawaken, um, as some people would call it, to be born again,
Right.
to be woke. There are many, many ways of that this is referred to. You know, the lotus blossoming. Another culture calls it the lotus blossoming, but I call it getting in touch with your true self, your calling, your true inner guides, and becoming who you were meant to be, in spite of all the conflict, disagreement, people misleading you, people taking advantage of you. There is a true mirror. There's a true mirror out there, and for me, because of my early um, enculturing, my early conditioning, if you will, was math and science. I was raised to become an engineer. My parents decided there was going to be an engineer in the family, and by golly, I was going to be it.
I was supposed to be
So,
an engineer too. But
so
that
now,
was, go ahead.
so now I kind of think of myself as building bridges from the material world to the spiritual world. Still
Mhm.
in engineering, so in some matters they were correct.
Right. And well,
I
it's
gotta
interesting.
hand it to 'em.
When I went to college, I just sort of on a whim, I chose engineering, chemical engineering, because I was good in math and I liked chemistry and I didn't know what else to be. And my grandpa was an engineer and that's who I wanted to make proud. So it was really completely about somebody else. But if you will, like now with so much of the work I do with a lot of the helping people peel back the layers, become the wolf, and we re-engineer the mind in many ways so that you can connect to that true path. So I know people are really curious about, like, well, what does your number mean, and what is it true? And so I'd love to use myself and yourself as an example so we can tell people what our toolbox is and what our blueprint is. So the toolbox are sort of the gifts we've been given. Yes.
Yes, yes, and first, before we do that, great
Yeah.
idea, I wanna tell people the difference between numbers and figures. If I
Oh,
hold up
yes.
a pen, this pen, and I say I have 1 pen, that would be a figure, a quantity. We use figures on the material plane, but if I look a little closer and I say, big pens are number 1. Now I'm no longer talking about a quantity, but a quality at least in my opinion, of being the best. And that's a number most people can relate to. Being number one, numero uno, the first, the fastest, the top, the best. That number hasn't lost its meaning throughout the ages, particularly in our culture. But what people don't realize is every number has a meaning. The number
Mm.
one is leadership. Two is peace. Three is expression and youth and abundance. Four stands for work and orderliness. Five stands for freedom and change. Six is the number of the servant, service and responsibility. The greatest among us will bear that vibration. Seven is faith and wisdom. Eight is money and power. And nine is selfless giving. And each of those numbers have a corresponding master number, two ones, two twos, two threes, and the master numbers, they're testing numbers. They provide the soul with more challenges, but also offer greater opportunities for spiritual development and helping mankind move forward, being great, being a good soul, like Mahatma Gandhi, a master spirit, Martin Luther King Jr., master spirit, George Washington, the first president, born on the 22nd of February, two twos, a master spirit. So those are the master numbers. 11 is the master of revelation and the master teacher. Those are the light bearers amongst us, the number 11,
Mm.
bringing light to areas that are normally closed off. 22, the master builder. 33, master healer. 44, master liberator. 55, master of divine will. 66, master of universal joy. 77, two sevens, master of creative thought. My wife is a 77, very creative. 88, master of divine knowing. And 99, master of universal love. The only 99 I've come upon was Nelson Mandela. Nelson
Oh,
Mandela was a 99.
wow.
Um, we
What
know
was
about his
Martin Luther
involvement.
King?
Martin Luther King was a 44, master liberator
Mm-mm.
and a prophet. Mhm.
Yes, that makes sense.
And getting back to what how we got here, you were talking about our names and numbers. You are a number 11.
I am a number 11. My birthday adds up to a number 11. So that means that is my gifts, my God-given gifts, so to speak. Yes.
Yes, many numerologists would call that the life path number.
Okay.
Um, um, it was revealed to me through prayer and meditation that our month, our day, and our year are symbols for gifts that we have, and the sum of all three of them, which is called the life path number, is the ultimate gift of the spirit. So,
Mm,
for example, I'm born May the 4th, 1951. So my year, 1 plus 9 plus 5 and 1 adds up to 16. My month and day, 5 and 4 is 9. 16 and 9 is 25. And 2 plus 5 is 7. So my birth path is a number 7. But my gifts are the 5, which is the month, the
okay.
number of freedom and change, to be a change agent. The 4, my fourth, I'm born on the 4th, the number of orderliness. And just so happens the fourth book of the Torah in the Bible is entitled Numbers. I was very, I was very amazed when I discovered that. So, okay, I'm in the right link here, and I find a lot of people who are involved in math and accounting have that four energy showing up. And my year is a 7, which is faith and wisdom. So it just so happens when you add month, day, and year, it's also a 7 combined. So I got a double dose of that number 7 energy, which is faith and wisdom. Now, when it comes to letters, the number 7 would be G, the seventh letter,
That's mine.
P, the 16th letter. 1 plus 6 is 7. And Y, the 25th letter. 2 plus 5 is 7. So we use what's called a conversion chart, converting letters to numbers, as I just did with the letters G, P, and Y. Those are all sevens. This is how you change the name or anything with a name. A building, an address, a city can all be examined by converting the letters into numbers.
Wow. So it's funny, you have a 5 and a 4, and then your birth year. And I also, because I'm 513, so I have a 5 and a 4, and
Oh my
then
goodness. I,
1973. So that makes me a 20 on the, or a 2 on the other page.
yes, yes. And when you add 20 to 13, it's 33. Very significant, indicating it's one of the master numbers, but in this case, it comes under a cycle which is called a pinnacle. So there's going to be a time in your experience where the universe will call on you, and I think you're in it now, to be the
Yeah,
master healer, to be the master healer, and to be of universal service. The 13, that's an excellent number to speak on. Many people are afraid of the number 13.
right.
And we may think this is old-fashioned or superstitious, but I've been on buildings that were just constructed, and you go in the elevator, and
They
it
don't
goes from the
have.
12th floor to the 14th floor.
Yeah, yeah.
They no, they do not have a 13th floor. They will not call the floor the 13th floor. So the 13th is associated with change, release, and transformation.
Mhm.
Um, on this plane is evidenced by the caterpillar that
Mhm.
starts off crawling around, okay, very slowly, then goes into isolation, meditation, if you will,
Right.
and evolves a butterfly with wings,
And
complete and total transformation.
I've gotta tell you, transformation is messy. I'm like, how many times do I have to turn myself inside and out to be in the becoming of who I truly am? And I tell you, it's just, and I think a lot of people out there can agree that we transform the most when we hit these really difficult obstacles. And it's not always so easy. So, okay, so your life
Every
path,
cat,
yeah.
every caterpillar doesn't make it.
Oh,
Every
yeah.
caterpillar doesn't make it. So that's why people are afraid of the 13. It's an all or nothing vibration. And people think it means death. But I say what's death to the caterpillar is life to the butterfly. As spiritual beings, we
Right.
simply transform back to our original state. To see how we did, there's a review. How'd you do with those gifts I gave you? Did you keep the contract? So this is like I call life the university of the soul. But continuing with your birth path number, it adds up to the number 38. Your year was a 20. 20 and 13 was 33. 33 and 5 is 38. And 3 plus 8 is the number 11. And that
Right.
is the master of revelation, and it's called the master teacher vibration. Now, when you're the master teacher, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to end in the classroom, although many 11s are in the classroom. But what it does mean is you are the lesson. When you're the number 11,
Oh,
the way you walk, the way you talk, the things that you say, everything that you do, you are the creator's example on earth. Um, it was written about one number 11 who went by the name of Jesus. I am the way. I am the truth. I am the light. And there's much evidence that Jesus was a student of numerology.
hmm.
He
Interesting.
practiced the name, he practiced name changes, and after he went to Egypt, after he had to exile to Egypt because there was a madman on the loose. Okay, he had to. it went to Egypt, and that's where the Egyptian mystery schools were, and 11s are sponges for
Mm.
wisdom and knowledge and truth. Most of us will see a leaf fall from a tree and get angry because it's time to get the rake out and, to clean the yard up. And the number 11 will see a leaf fall from a tree and say, things happen quietly and patiently in their own time as they watch the leaf fall to the ground. So they're extracting wisdom and knowledge from everything so that they can be the light bearer to illuminate the path for others. So, as a number 11, Jania, you have to be prepared to be upfront. It's two ones, double leadership. Otherwise, if you're in the behind the masses, the light bearer is casting shadows on the path.
Mm.
So you have to be up front in order to illuminate.
I spent many years hiding. Well, it's real funny when we think about the ones. So my name, Janaea,
Hmm.
is a Latin slang word that means first.
Wow.
And so,
There are no mistakes, are there?
well, and I'd be curious what my dad wanted to name me Alcyon out of off after one of the stars in the Pleiades. I'm curious what that number would have been. But
Well, we can take a look at that, but the name Jania, the vowel total, E-E-A,
yeah.
E is the fifth letter of the alphabet, and A is the first. So E-E-A numerically is 5 plus 5 plus 1, which is 11.
Hmm, interesting. And
So the vowel total is called the heart's desire number. Okay, the heart's
oh,
desire number reveals, well, as the name implies, that which you desire to do or become more than anything else. So not only
that
so
feels
this birth
true.
path, when the creator said, Jania, I'm going to give you this gift, you said, oh, I want to use that because it's the same. It matches it. You say,
Well,
I got no problem with it.
and when I was little, I mean, I went down a very long path of hiding in the dark, but when I was little, I wanted to make big impact. I wanted to make big change. I stood up to bullies. I did all kinds of things like that to show people that they could be more, that there was more for them, that they didn't have to hide. And then through my own traumas and all of the beat downs of life, I crumbled, and have spent, the last however many years pulling back the layers to reveal my light, if you will, and become. Now, my first and last name, like the first, Janaea works out to a 5 and Barnes works out to a 5. So together they make another one, so another 10. So that's one's all
And
over the
five
place in my numbers.
and five stands for freedom and change. Freedom and change. So this corresponds with the month, which was a gift, and the 13, even though it's a 4, symbolizes change, transformation. So there's no question you are a change agent. You are here to convert thinking, modalities to change the planet. Um,
That
those are
feels
the
right.
gifts that you came equipped with. And you even mentioned that word. You said, when I was younger, I wanted to change everything.
Mhm.
And speaking of change and freedom, there is no more independent vibration than the number 23.
Mm.
Okay. It symbolizes complete and total independence. And the name Barnes is also a 23.
How
So
interesting.
that will give you friends in high places um, who you will refuse help from. A lot of 23s, no, thank you. No, thank you. I got this, which is true. But those people in those high places, they need to help you more than you need their help.
Yeah.
It's 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 a karmic situation going on here. Now,
It
they may not be aware of it, so whenever the 23 shows up, I always put it this way: get the help, but here's what you say. I will allow you to help me. I will accept your assistance so you can show the universe how thankful you are for the blessings you receive. That
mm,
way, you cut all the strings attached. You
right,
get the help, but you're doing them a favor. You don't
right.
owe them a thing.
Well, and that's something so, that's a big thing that people struggle with is receiving, being able to receive and being able to receive the help. And I know myself, whew, that has been a big one to work through, and I'm still working through it. And but what I do know is that when people want to give to you, when people want to help, and it comes from the right place, it feels so good. Like when you go volunteer just because you want to help, it feels so good. So allowing people the gift of being able to give is such a
Yes.
powerful thing that you can give to somebody while receiving their gift. I know,
And and
yeah.
the more independent and the more strong you are, the more benefit people will receive from your, accepting that gift. Because as I said before, whatever whatever people will come to you and offer to you, 9 times out of 10, you really don't need it, but they need to share with you because there's no more independent vibration than the number 23. And when they're combined to make the 46, that strong, powerful independence, the ability to stand on, well, everyone knows what numero uno means, right? The ability to stand on your own without help. You came here to be a help giver.
Mhm. And that is
Um,
true. Okay, so I want to dive into your story in a minute, but I first want people to have the opportunity. How can they get work with you, get their numbers done? Tell us what you have to offer for people.
sure, sure. They can visit my website. It's www.craigerwright.com. And I do readings, forecasts, consultations, compatibility. I teach classes, I do workshops, and I also have a newsletter. So visit the website, go to the contact me session, and sign up for the monthly newsletter. I send out every month information on numerology, especially forecasting, how to be in harmony with the universe, um, to reap the benefits that we are all due as children of the Most High.
Now, and so you'll take a moment and open up your browser because there's something else that's great on this website. It's a conversion chart for the letters and numbers. Now, I know if you've tried to figure out your numbers before of your name, you're sitting here A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, trying to figure it out. There's a easy conversion chart on Craig's website that will make it super easy for you. So open up the browser and type in Craig, Craige, Wright, WRIGHT.com. So do that. Sign up for the newsletter. Figure out what your numbers are, your divine destiny, your path. But you said before that had you were supposed to become an engineer. And and there was
Yes.
that something that happened in your life when you were still relatively young that changed the trajectory of your path or the path that other people had laid out for you. So, are you open to sharing that with us?
Yes, yes, I am. It all started in the seventh grade. I ran home to mom and dad, and I had A's in math and science. I was so proud. And they said, engineers do very well in math and science, Craig. Maybe that'd be a great career for you. Now, my mom was a school teacher, so I was never out of school. Math and science, getting ready to become an engineer. Originally, I wanted to fly aircraft, become a Navy pilot. By the time I was in junior high school, I knew every aircraft, their armament, how far they could go on a tank of gas, just everything about them. I was really into it, but life happened. At 21, my best friend died from a drug overdose, and I wasn't even aware that he was a user.
Wow. You were
How
so young.
self-contained was that? Yes, yes, at age 21, it it rocked my world. Up until then, I wasn't a believer. If you couldn't add it, subtract it, I was a technocrat. I didn't even believe that there was a well, for me, God was like Santa Claus, a figment of one's imagination and a crutch for the weak, you know. Um,
Mm,
I had it all together. I knew what I was doing. Everything was scientific. But when that happened, it all came crumbling down. For the first time, I didn't know who I was emitting to, but I wanted to know why was I here? What was the meaning of life? And if it was this arbitrary, hey, I'm ready. I've had enough. Okay, I've had enough. Take me out of the game now. So literally, my ego and arrogance and pride were destroyed. My image of who I was and everything people were telling me I should be and become. Um, as I learned later, the term for what I was going through was my roots weren't deep enough for that storm. Okay, so I began
mm,
to ask for guidance. Why was I here? What was the meaning of life? And I heard a song on the radio by an artist by the name of Roy Ayers, and the lyrics were mesmerizing. The song was called "In Search of the Third Eye," and the lyrics were "Secrets of wisdom, secrets of sound, secrets of numbers can be found." Well, I know about numbers. What are they singing about? And I wanted to know the answers and secrets. So I was drawn, mesmerized to the song. It took me a while to get the album. There was no internet. This was like in 1972, some time ago. No Amazon, it took me
right.
a while to get my hands on the album, but eventually I got it. I listened to it, and that was my introduction to all things metaphysical and spiritual. The person who had wrote that song had read a book, and it was by Vera Stanley Alder, and it was entitled "In Search of the Third Eye." Um, and that was my introduction. It took me 2 years to get a copy of that book. I just willed it into being, going into bookstores. Do you have this? Do you have this? Do you have this? And eventually, someone said, "Yes, we've got that." So I started reading it, and it talked about colors, how colors affect people, and scientists discovered females weren't docile. The color pink made people docile, you know. Um, so stop dressing people in pink. They also discovered your favorite song was in harmony with your heart rhythm or your vibration. It's like a spiritual DNA thing going on. But what really captivated me was the secrets of numbers. I was prepared. I knew about Pythagoras, the Pythagorean theorem for
Right.
geometry, but I didn't know about the Pythagorean numerology. He had studied 20 years with the Egyptian masters in mystery schools and brought it back to the Greeks and brought it to the world. The meaning of numbers, it predates the scriptures, some 3,000 years. So this changed my life. And I cut work and I had to go to the Library of Congress. Now you can go to the library and there's a numerology for dummies. That's how mainstream it is now. But
Right.
back in 1972, I had to go to the Library of Congress, and there were hundreds of books on this fascinating science of numerology, and it began to open up and give life meaning. And I discovered that I was a number seven. Not only was it my birth path, as we illustrated earlier, by adding my month, day, and year, but it was my vow total, as I shared with you in your name, and it was my first, middle, and last name were also seven, so those are the three most powerful numbers in your chart that you can have were number sevens. And
Wow.
when I discovered this, it gave me a jolt because The mission of the seven is to research, analyze, and study hidden information and to share it with others. I was like, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm doing that. And it gave me a different perspective. Okay. I mentioned how creative my wife was. She had a party once and people were complaining about the sun. And she said, I bet you all have a vitamin D deficiency. And people started complaining. Oh, yeah. They started, give me more sun.
Right.
So what I discovered was my friend didn't die in vain. He was part of a contract that I had with the creator. And part of his contract was to leave the way he did to trigger me,
Mm,
to be a trigger in my life, to awaken me, if you will, to why I actually came here, not to be a jet pilot and drive napalm and strife people, whatever,
right.
machine gun people. No, you know, some force definitely was trying to guide my life down a path that I wasn't here to take. I'm here to enlighten people, to to empower them, and to give power behind what people talk about in terms of spirituality, because the numbers don't lie.
You
Okay.
know, it's one of the things that I love about studying the subconscious mind. I've always had this sense of how things are. My friend used to say, I study philosophy, but Janaea just knows it. But I remember when I started learning about the brain and the subconscious mind, and we know the tiniest little bit about it, very little compared to what the vast possibilities of what there is to know. But I remember being so excited because I could finally talk to the science people. I could finally explain these things that I knew deep inside and have known since forever. And I could explain them in a way that would make sense from a scientific aspect. And when you talk about the numbers, a number is a concrete thing, even though, as you explained the difference between the figures and the numbers, but the numbers are still a concrete thing. And when we talk about
Yes.
spirituality, for most people, it's very not, it's flowy, it's not, you can't grab it, you can't touch it. So I love the idea of being able to bring some semblance of concrete fact to these wider concepts.
Wow. You just expressed it totally. You know, I guess it's like the guy said, some people just can do that. That number 11, um, you know, gives you that ability to illuminate and verbalize. Um, but yeah, exactly. What you said. Exactly. That's it. That's it.
Like, I'll give you a transcript. I don't know what I just said, but
Illuminating the path, the light. Numbers are symbols. And I find musicians can pick up on this numerology a little quicker than most because
Mhm.
musicians use letters for notes and
Right.
numbers for timing. You know,
Yeah.
um, waltz time is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. 3, 4 timing. In notes, what is it? FACE are the spaces, and every good boy does fine. Those are the notes that are on the lines. So the letters in our name and the numbers in our birthday, they reveal the song we play in a symphony of life.
And
So
yeah. And going back
musicians
to
get it.
that idea of having these, I think everybody has a big life event that changes them. And some people have many of them. Some people have just one big one. I think, oh God, what is that school? I don't know. Anyway, their whole premise is that once you get to the core of whatever the wound is, then you can like peel it back, but you've got to figure out what that core wound was. And I think about myself, as that little kid who was super independent and super strong and trying to help people. And I've been through a lot of crazy, not so great things. And, it's been in recent years that I really have this overwhelming gratitude for those so-called terrible things that have happened to me. Because if my
Yeah.
life path is to be a master teacher and illuminator, and I have these ones all over the place, then I'm imagining I would need to be strong to carry out that contract.
Yeah. Yeah, instead of pumping iron, you had those spiritual experiences that build up your spiritual abilities and talents and skills, and also to teach you who to lean on. Well, not who to lean on, but what to lean on energy and spirit, you know? And that
Right.
which teaches you that independence. You say, well, no, this land is shaky over here. No, no, that's quicksand over there. I'm standing on the rock.
Well, it's
Okay, so
interesting because, growing up with a very unstable life, and,
exactly.
as we all work on these things that we need to get better at to grow into our most expressive, expansive wolf, one of the pieces that I've really had to work on is stability. And one of the things that I realized that was so profound was, we're always looking for stability outside of us through our job, through our career, whatever it is, let me have a partner that can be my rock. And what I realized is that I remembered, in yoga doing headstands. And there's this beautiful moment in a headstand when you feel weightless, when it feels completely weightless. And you could literally, if you could hold it, you would be able to stay in that headstand for hours without any pain, without any
Wow,
discomfort. And it's when
awesome.
everything is aligned and the energy just shoots up. And then I realized, it dawned on me like, oh, that feeling. And usually when you hit that, all of a sudden it's so easy that you freak out in your mind and you fall over. But so that point, though, that effortless, that's like connected strength right there, that is stability. And true stability comes from within. You can only do a headstand and hit that place if you are solid within. And so that place of being the rock, being able to stand on your own, when you can create that stability within yourself, then all the other extra support is just gravy.
Exactly, exactly. Getting in tune, having that faith,
Yeah.
leaning on a rock. That's why they say faith is the assurance of things unseen. If you have that, you know that you know that you know that you know, that's how we manifest on the earthly planes. We've got it backwards. We're screaming at the TV when we're holding a remote in our hand. You just change the channel, you know?
Right. Right. Well, then again, going back to all those stories, all those things that people told us that we should be, that are in the way to just changing the channel. And that's a big piece of what I do when I work with, entrepreneurs and people to really step into being the wolf, to get their business moving the way that they want it to, so that they can slide into that stability where it feels effortless.
Mhm, mhm.
Beautiful.
Ah, yes. Yes,
Beautiful.
it is.
Well, I love this conversation. I think it's been enlightening for me and really for all the other 11s out there and the 7s. And I think some of the other people too. There's such power in so many ways that we are so unaware of because we're so busy, go, go, go. And sometimes when we get to settle down and give ourselves that space to transform into the butterfly, we can find our inner wolf.
Yes. Be still and know. Be still
Yeah.
and know.
Beautiful. All right, everybody. Now, again, if you want to set up some time with Dr. Craig, open up that browser again, Craig E. Wright with a W. And thank you for being here today and sharing your wisdom. I appreciate you so much. And
Thank you.
remember, everybody, when you feel good about who you are and what you do, you evolve humanity. We will see you next